What happens at a probation revocation? In Texas, we have two types of community supervision that most people call probation. Deferred adjudication is the first type of community supervision, and that's essentially probation without a conviction on your record. Then we have what's called straight probation, which means you're on probation, but there's also a conviction on your record. When the state alleges you've messed up while you're on probation, they file one of two things. If you're on deferred, they're going to file a motion to adjudicate you, meaning they now want the court to 1, convict you, and 2, sentence you. Or if you're on probation, they'll file what's called a motion to revoke you because you've already been convicted and now they just want you to be sentenced. Whether the state files a motion to adjudicate or a motion to revoke, you are going to be arrested and your bond will be held insufficient. Most judges will be willing to set a bond on a deferred adjudication case where you're facing a motion to adjudicate. They probably won't do that upon a request. They might wait a day, 2 days, or even a week to set that bond. On a motion to revoke case, the judges are not required to set a bond and often won't set a bond while you're being held for that revocation. When you're facing an adjudication or revocation, you probably won't have more than a couple of settings. That first setting is when the state is going to make an offer to resolve the case and your attorney will make counteroffers. If you can resolve it that day, great. But if not, the matter is going to get set for hearing, probably 30 to 60 days out. So there are generally not multiple settings before you get to that hearing. It's either you work out your case on the first setting or you're going to go to a hearing. At a hearing, the judge will have a number of options. If your case was deferred, the judge has the ability to reinstate you on deferred or put you back on community supervision. The judge has the option of punishing you anywhere within the statutory range for that offense, or because it's deferred, the judge could find you guilty of a lesser included offense. So there's a huge range of potential outcomes when you're on deferred. If you're on probation, there is a cap or a ceiling, which is generally different than the statutory ceiling. So you'll know that you have a more limited range when you're on probation that the judge could sentence you to. The judge also has the ability to impose sanctions. They can be minor sanctions like days as a condition in jail, or major sanctions like 6 to 9 months in jail on a rehabilitation program. Understand that when you're facing a revocation or a motion to adjudicate, you really can't go back and relitigate the original facts. You can't say, Judge, I entered this plea, but I'm not really guilty. The state may put on some evidence about the underlying offense so the judge has an idea as to what they're sentencing on, but the real issues will be, did you violate the conditions of probation? And if so, what should the appropriate punishment be? If you have not committed a new offense, there might be a chance the judge would consider reinstating you. If you've committed a new offense while you're on community supervision, it is much harder to get back on probation. It is critically important to find the right attorney to represent you in a revocation scenario because you're no longer fighting about the underlying facts. The judge is almost looking entirely at a punishment range, a pretty big punishment range in most instances. So that attorney is going to have to prepare not only the client, but also witnesses to come in and testify as to why this person should not be sent to prison, or if they are sent to prison, why the judge should consider the lowest end of the spectrum possible. This video was made in response to questions that we've received on this channel in the past. If you have a criminal question that you'd like for us to answer, just drop a comment below and we'll be happy to answer that in a future video.